Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Alright, so today I'm reading from Light of the Bhagavata. This is the most unique book of Prabhupada's I've come across, because usually Prabhupada's books are just very heavy philosophy, and this is a beautiful book based on a chapter in the Krishna book, the 10th canto, called The Description of Autumn. And Prabhupada, he wrote a book based on this chapter, and he wrote a very unique commentary on it. I think this, there was this Congress for Cultivating the Human Spirit, an international religious conference held in Japan in 1961.
What page are we on?
I'm just reading the description of it. And so Prabhupada was invited to this in 1961, and he wrote a book about this, but he couldn't go. But this book, later the devotees, they got it and made a book out of it. So I'll start from verse 1 on page 1. The arrival of clouds, accompanied by thunder and flashes of lightning all over the sky, provides a picture of life-giving hope. Covered by deep bluish clouds, the sky appears artificially dressed. The thunder and lightning within the clouds are signs of hope for a new way of life. Okay. The serene sky, limitlessly expansive, is compared to the absolute truth. The living entities are truths manifested in relation with the modes of material nature. The deep bluish cloud covers only an insignificant portion of the limitless sky, and this fractional covering is compared to the quality of ignorance, or forgetfulness of the real nature of the living being. A living entity is as pure as the limitless sky. He becomes covered by the cloud of forgetfulness, however, in his tendency for enjoying the material world. Because of this quality called tamas, ignorance, he considers himself different from the absolute whole and forgets his purity, which is like that of the clear sky. This forgetfulness gives rise to separatism and false ego. Thus, the forgetful living entities, individually and collectively, make sounds like thundering clouds. I am this, it is ours, or it is mine. This mood of false separatism is called the quality of rajas, and it gives rise to a creative force for separate lordship over the mode of tamas. The flash of lightning is the only beam of hope that can lead one to the path of knowledge, and therefore it is compared to the mode of sattva or goodness. So we're reading from the light of the Bhagavata. There's some books over there, and I left one right there on the fireplace if you want to join in. So it's explaining here that just like the sky, it's limitless. It's very vast, and sometimes we can see that sometimes dark clouds come, and there's lightning and there's rain, but we can see that the portion of the sky that has all the clouds, all the dark clouds, it's only a very insignificant portion of the whole sky. So it's explaining here that this material world is compared to that portion of the limitless sky that is covered by dark clouds. This material creation it's explaining that this material creation is only 1/4 of the whole creation of God. That's my understanding. 1/4 and 3/4 of the whole creation of God is the spiritual world. So we can understand that we've come to this material world because we desired it. We desired to come here. There's an analogy I like to use. Just like when a little child, it sees its mother cooking on the stove, and the child asks the mother, "Please, I want to cook. Please, I want to cook." But the mother says, "No, you can't cook. This is, there's a lot of hot oil, fire, things like this. You can't do this. This will hurt you." So the mother gives the child a little, kitchen place that I'm sure you'll have seen. The child has a little kitchen place and it acts like it's cooking. So similarly, because we're individual spirit souls, Krishna gave us free will. He gave us free will because if we were just forced to love Krishna, that wouldn't be real love. So because Krishna gave us free will, then he must give us an alternative to the spiritual world. If we don't want to love Krishna, then he must give us some alternative, and that's the material world, where we can imitate being like Krishna. So that's what this material world is. It's like that play kitchen set. So we're living in such a way where we want to be like Krishna. We want to be the center of enjoyment. We want to control everything. But that's not possible. So Krishna gives this little place where we can go and try to do that. So this is the material world. And when we come here, we forget all about the spiritual world, where we accept different bodies, body after body. And we forget everything about Krishna. We forget everything about the spiritual world. Thus, the forgetful living entities, individually and collectively, make sounds like thunder and clouds. I am this, it is ours, or it is mine. So Prabhupada explains this a lot, that since we're eternal spirit souls and we're trapped inside these bodies, we think that we're this body. So all the difficulty in the material world is because of this, because we think we're the body. And, Prabhupada always says, we're thinking, I'm Indian, I'm black, I'm American, I'm white, I'm man, I'm woman, I'm cat and dog, but we're none of these, we're eternal spirit souls. But we're trapped inside these bodies, so we're thinking that we're these designations. And because we're thinking we're these designations, that we're somehow different than the other living entities around us. We think we're different from them. So we think these people are Christians, I'm Muslim, I'm black, they're white, these are dogs, I'm a cat, things like that. Because of this is all the difficulty in the material world comes from this. You can see all the wars are cause of this. All the murder and bloodshed is because of this, because we think, this is my land, this is your land. If you cross this boundary, then I'll kill you. So if anybody has any thoughts on this, what we just read or anything, or I'll continue.
Could you say what you're reading?
Oh, this is the light of the Bhagavata.
Oh, okay. Well, that
What
is...
page you on?
I'm just on page 2, so I put one right there. If
Yeah,
you want to
yeah.
give one to Madhava
I
Priya.
was looking in the right place in that. I was
Yeah.
looking at Krishna book, the same thing.
So I'll continue. The limitless sky, or the all-pervading absolute truth, Brahman, is non-different from the covered portion of the sky, but simultaneously the whole sky is different from the fractional portion that is liable to be covered by the dark cloud. The cloud accompanied by thunder and lightning cannot possibly cover the limitless sky. Therefore, the absolute truth, which is compared to the whole sky, is simultaneously one with the manifested living being and different from him. The living being is only a sample of the absolute truth and is prone to be covered by the circumstantial cloud of ignorance. Oh, good. Thank you. Thank you. So this is it's explaining that we're all spiritual by nature. We're all spiritual by nature, so we're not different from the Supreme Spirit. But we're in such a situation, there's an analogy like the sand on a beach. Sometimes the sand on a beach is covered by the waves, and sometimes the waves are not on the sand. We can see that on the beach, sometimes the waves, they go up and back and up and back. And so we are the eternal individual living entities. We're in this marginal position. So sometimes we can be in the spiritual energy, and sometimes we can be covered by the material energy. That's the situation we're in. Simultaneously one with the manifested living being and different from him. The living being is only a sample of the absolute truth and is prone to be covered by the circumstantial cloud of ignorance. Just like a drop of water in the ocean, it's a sample of the whole ocean. It's what's in the drop of water in the ocean has the same qualities as the whole ocean, salt, water, and so forth. But the drop of water in the ocean is very small, and the ocean is very big. So, individual living entities, as we are, we're little samples of Krishna, but we're very small. We have the same qualities of Krishna, the same qualities of God. We're unique, individual, we have personalities. We like to do certain things, but we're very small and very insignificant. And Krishna is very great. So I'll continue. There are two parties of philosophers, generally known as the monist and the dualist. The monist believes in the oneness of the absolute truth and the living entity, but the dualist believes in the separate identities of the living being and the absolute truth. Above these two classes of philosophers is the philosophy of Achintya Bheda Tattva, or the truth of simultaneous oneness and difference. This philosophy was propounded by Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his explanation of the Vedanta Sutras. The Vedanta is the medium of philosophical interpretations, and thus the Vedanta cannot be absolute property of any particular class of philosopher. A sincere seeker of the absolute truth is called a Vedantist. Veda means knowledge. Any department of knowledge is called a part of the Vedic knowledge. And Vedanta means the ultimate conclusion of all branches of knowledge. As philosophy is called the science of all sciences, Vedanta is the ultimate philosophy of all philosophical speculations. Yeah, this philosophy, Lord Chaitanya propounded Achintya Veda Tattva, simultaneous oneness and difference. This is the only philosophy that actually makes sense, that is actually satisfying. Because if we're just one with God, everything is one. There's no difference in the living entities. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense, because if we're God, then why are we in this situation? And there's no way we can get up. They say that, when we die, then we merge into the oneness, but if that's what you want to believe, then that's, whatever. But we understand that that's not the fact, that we're all eternal living entities, and when we die, we go to a different body according to our desires. And we can't get out of this situation. Even if we were one with God, we can't get out of this situation that we're in unless we surrender to the Supreme Lord, which we're simultaneous one and different with. We have the same qualities as Krishna. We're spiritual by nature, but quantity, we're very small. Krishna is very great. So this is the only philosophy that's satisfying, that actually makes any sense. The Mayavadis, their philosophy doesn't make any sense. There's a lot of holes in their philosophy. So, if there's any thoughts on this, I'll continue. Okay. Verse 2. The scorching heat of the sun evaporates water from the seas, rivers, lakes, and reservoirs, and there's little water anywhere. The people become thirsty and always look overhead for rain, but in despair. Yet, just at the right moment, torrents of rain begin to fall everywhere in the land, even on the hard stones, and the land becomes overflooded. The welfare state imposes upon its citizens scorching taxes in various forms: income tax, sales tax, land tax, terminal tax, excise tax, customs tax, and so many other taxes. But in due course, when the taxes accumulate into a large sum of money, they are utilized for the welfare of the citizens in various ways. Nonetheless, sometimes it happens that the benefits of the taxes fall like rains on stone-hearted men in the state who are unable to utilize the money properly and who squander it for sense gratification. The common man supposes the unequal distribution of rain to represent nature's wrath for our sinful acts. There is truth in this. Thus, to have an equal distribution of state-raised taxes, the citizens need to be scrupulously honest and virtuous. They should be honest in the payment of taxes to the state and should have honest representatives to look over the administration. In the modern setup of democratic states, the citizens can have no cause for grievances because the whole administration is conducted by the people themselves. If the people themselves are dishonest, and the administrative machinery must be corrupt. Although a damned government of the people may be given a good or fancy name, if the people are not good, they cannot have good government, regardless of which party governs the administration. Therefore, good character is in the consciousness of the mass of people is the first principle necessary for a good government and equal distribution of wealth. So this is very interesting. Prabhupada is explaining here that the current political situation that we're in right now, democratic, since we are in control, the mass of people, since we're in control, then we have no reason to complain of how politics and the government is going on, because we are making the decisions. Supposedly we are making the decisions, the mass of people. So it's explaining that the first principle for good government and equal distribution of wealth is good character in the consciousness of the mass of the people. So, if the mass of people have good consciousness, then naturally government will run nicely. And my understanding is that the only way to bring about good consciousness in the mass of people is to spread Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, people, they have no knowledge of anything. They have no knowledge of how life is going on, how government should work. They don't know anything about, they don't even know who they are. So how can their society run properly if they don't even know who they are? If they don't know that they're eternal spirit souls, part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, and they're supposed to serve the Supreme Lord. They don't even understand this. So how can society, civilization run properly if they don't even know who they are, first of all? So this is the Krishna consciousness movement. We have the proper understanding of how individually we need to be and train ourselves. We know how our consciousness should be. We know what we should do. And as a society, Varnashram Dharma, we know how society can work properly because of this. We can all be engaged according to our propensities, and in this way, society can run properly and flourish, actually. So if there are any thoughts on this, I'll keep going.
I was wondering about the meaning of the picture on page number 4. If you want to comment on that.
Okay.
What about the comparison? What about the picture?
Yeah, he's asking me to comment on the description of the picture.
Is that page 9?
Page 4.
Page
4.
Yeah, I don't know, maybe someone else wants to comment.
What's the question?
What does it mean?
What does it mean?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Yeah.
the river is dry, and the tree is dry, and the cracks in the earth. So it looks like it's depicting that dryness
Yeah.
we talked about before the rain.
Yeah, it's interesting because Dwi Puja, he told me that the Japanese, or whatever, the lady who painted these pictures was actually blind. Yeah, that's what Dwi Puja told me. So,
Legally blind or completely blind?
I don't know. But he told me that the lady who painted these was blind, so that's very interesting. Yeah. So any other thoughts? We'll keep going. In ancient days, the kings were taught lessons in political philosophy by ideal teachers, and the citizens from village to village were taught the principles of self-realization according to the Vedic codes for both the material and spiritual upliftment of society. Therefore, the citizens were God-conscious and honest in their dealings, and the kings were responsible for the welfare of the state. The same basic principles are accepted in the democratic governments of the present day, for the irresponsible party of the people is always voted out of power and must yield to the responsible party for better government. In the cosmic administration, there is only one party, which consists of the servants of God and the responsible deities of the various planets. And the responsible deities of the various planets maintain the cosmic laws in terms of the order of the Supreme Lord. But the people suffer on account of their own folly. So this is a very interesting point. In ancient days, the kings were taught lessons in political philosophy by ideal teachers. So this is the Varnashram system. There's 4 social orders and 4 spiritual orders. The 4 social orders are Brahmins, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras. And this was how society was set up in Vedic civilization. That the Brahmins were they were saintly and intelligent people, dedicated to their sacrifices, their spiritual practices, and nobody governed them. Nobody told them what to do because they're Brahmins. They're saintly people. They know what they're supposed to do, and they're learned in the scriptures, so they know what to do and they know what's to be done. And the Kshatriyas, they're the kings, and they rule the civilization. They rule the kingdom. And the Kshatriyas, they take instructions from the Brahmanas, because the Brahmanas, they know how civilization should be ran. So the Kshatriyas, since they're very powerful, they take lessons from the Brahmanas, and in that way they can run society properly. So if you ever have any thoughts, just let me know. And what is that folly? In Bhagavad Gita it is said that people should perform yajnas or sacrifices for the satisfaction of the Supreme. Anag bhavanti bhutani parjanya anasambhavaha yajya bhavati parjanyo yajya karma samvupavaha. All living bodies subsist on food grains, which are produced from rains. Rains are produced by the performance of yajna, sacrifice, and yajna is born of prescribed duties. Bhagavad Gita 3:14. So this is a very interesting verse. It's explaining that all living entities, it says food grains here, but I'm sure all living bodies don't subsist on food grains, so that I'm sure that means just food in general, like plants in general. So, which are produced from rains. So all the living plants, they're living because rain is falling from the sky. And the reason why rains are coming, the reason why rains will come is because there's sacrifice. So in every yuga there's a certain sacrifice in the age for self-realization. And if you do the sacrifice, if the sacrifice is done all over the world, then naturally the Lord will be pleased and rain will come. So all the plants can live and all the living entities can eat. So it's explained that in the Bhagavatam that Kali Yuga, as it progresses, it's going to get a lot worse. There will be no rain, famine, drought, all these wars and things like that. And because there will be no rain, then what are we going to eat? So the process of sacrifice in this age is the congregational chanting of the holy name. And I'm sure some devotees, maybe they can tell, they have experienced that sometimes there may be droughts, and the devotees, they get together and they do Harinam, and then rain will come. I've heard, some instances in where there's droughts, and big droughts in parts of the world, and the devotees would go there and they would do Harinam, and then rain would come. So this we can directly see how powerful this is. People, they have, they think if we do this, then the world will be a good place. If we clean up all the oceans and rivers, if we get rid of animal slaughter, things like this, if we do these external things, then life on earth will flourish. But we understand that that's not true. That the only way that life will flourish on earth is if we perform sacrifice to the Supreme Lord. And then, because of the sacrifice, then He'll send rain. And because of rain, then we can grow food and we can eat.
Prabhu, they had an example here on the farm years ago where there was a period of drought, and Bhagavata Bhakta from Atlanta, Georgia, came and was doing Harinam, and I think it rained shortly after they finished the Harinam, started raining.
Lots of examples.
Lots of examples.
Around the world.
Where devotees come and they chant, they do yajna.
Yeah.
It's interesting that the water is a common denominator and even microscopic life.
Yeah.
And it's very few to none other entities that survive for a long time without water. I think a tardai, which is a little tiny, bear-looking, microscopic entity, he has a soul too, but he can survive for long periods without water. Tardigrade. Looks like a little bear. But you have to see him in a microscope or electron microscope.
Yeah.
But he still has to have water somewhere on him.
Yeah.
I was reading last night, and so this is reminding me, we're talking about sacrifice and these things and giving the right blessing at the right time. I was reading that right now we're actually in 9 days of worship of the goddess, and so I think it began on the 4th for 9 days. I may have the date wrong, but and I think the first 3 days are to Durga, and then there's certain fastings and things that are made at that time for those 9 days and certain rituals. So this was kind of reminding me of that, so I thought maybe a good time to just sort of find out if, I would like to know more about it, I don't know, and then of course I thought about honoring our mothers, you know, do so much for us right now, and our Matajis, you know, so yeah, I just wanted to just chime in with that and just see what you tie that in.
Yeah, well, so I'm guessing you're explaining that I guess this is some period of time we're supposed to sacrifice to some goddess, Durga.
Well, it was 9 days, and I can't say the whole thing was Durga, and I wish my mind could remember more the actual title. Maybe someone else here knows more.
You're talking about Navratri?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's not now, that's like in
That's a Sai-Bai thing.
October or something.
Oh, okay, the thing I read last night said it's from April the 4th and for 9 days, so maybe someone put misinformation on the internet, I don't know.
But we as Vaishnavas or devotees of Krishna, we don't observe those austerities.
Ah, okay.
Because we do austerity on a daily basis. So.
I understand. My best friend was a devotee of Amaji, so of course we were always chanting to the mother. So. Thank you.
Yeah, we understand that, Krishna explains in the Bhagavad Gita that you need not offer sacrifices or worship to any demigods or any other living entities, because if you offer sacrifice and worship to the Supreme Lord Krishna, then that's all you need to do. You don't need to offer sacrifice or worship to anyone else. If you offer it, just like the root of a tree, if you try to individually water all the leaves in a tree, it won't work out. So just water the root and the tree will flourish. So if you worship Krishna, you try to love Him, you offer your sacrifice to Him, He's in control of every living entity. So we need not focus on other demigods, things like that. So all we have to do is chant the holy names, and that's a sacrifice for this age. The more we do this around the world, this congregational chanting, the more we do this around the world, then the more society will flourish, and there will be peace on earth, and not otherwise. That's my understanding. I'll continue. The Supreme is all-pervading. Therefore, people must learn to perform yajnas to satisfy the all-pervading Supreme Truth. There are different yajnas prescribed for different ages, and in the present age of iron industry, the yajna that enlightens the mind of the masses for God consciousness is recommended. This process of yajna is called the Sankirtan yajna, or mass agitation for invoking man's lost spiritual consciousness. As soon as this movement is taken up through spiritual singing, dancing, and feasting, the people will automatically become obedient and honest. Yeah, a devotee told me, I don't know if it's true, but yeah, this devotee told me that there was supposed to be World War III, but since during when Prabhupada was on this earth and after, there had been so much distribution of Prabhupada's books that Krishna changed his mind. So that we can see that, true or not, that the world is in such a horrible place right now that it's only by Krishna's mercy that it's not getting out of control. We can see that it's just the situation on earth right now is so horrible. It's like, how is everything still, it's like relatively okay, That's only by Krishna's mercy that he's not letting things get out of control. And my understanding that a big part of this is because the devotees are chanting the holy names all over the world, distributing Prabhupada's books for Shraddha. This is a very powerful purification process. Purifies the whole world. So, I'll continue. People will automatically become obedient and honest. We can see this in our own lives. We were in such a, at least for me, in such a degraded situation, such a horrible person, and then when you come to Krishna consciousness, you start chanting the holy name, you just become calm, happy, honest, and you're not a nuisance. So we can see that, people before they come to Krishna consciousness, they're very, very disturbing people living very sinful. But they come to Krishna consciousness, they chant the holy name, they become purified and very calm. And that's very interesting. So, any thoughts on this? Okay, I'll continue.
I also see that devotees hang on to dishonesty on the excuse that we're transcendental.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is. I think it's different ways of resisting total surrender, maybe, or something, but we do see that too.
Yeah, I understand. People think, devotees think, oh, this is for Krishna, so let me do whatever I want so I can get this or do this for Krishna. Let me, maybe have an example explaining this.
Yeah, there's also a sort of like, one can stop at a halfway. It's not like you're guaranteed to not be dishonest anymore. You can stop at a certain point and hang on to your materials and have a little hope.
Yeah.
Sort of plateau there.
Yeah.
So we have to be aware that that's possible, and that's what anartha nivritti is all about: searching ourselves for our faults, get rid of them. So we have to be honest with self.
Yeah.
In order to get rid of our other kinds of dishonesty that we may be still hanging on to.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, in my experience, first coming to Krishna consciousness, and like the first few months you get this just ecstatic bliss, you think you're a pure devotee. And then after that, it's like, you really start seeing your faults, and you start seeing into your heart, and it's like, oh my God, this is horrible, this is, my heart is so dirty, it's like, I'm in a more, my heart is more dirty, it seems, than before I started Krishna consciousness. Because we started taking to this process, and then we can see our faults, we can see how dirty our heart is, and it's like, oh my God, I got a long way to go. I'm a very degraded person.
It's that spiritual insight or sight that helps us see the right way.
Yeah.
But start seeing yourself.
You finished? Yeah, but since you brought this subject up, I had some realization because we see people come, people go, devotees. But you're a very humble person that you felt like that. But there are some new ones come and they will tell us what to do. Have you seen that? Because they think we've been here for so long and we'll play this humble game. And they think that we don't know anything. And we might not know anything about material stuff, you know. But we have full of bags of devotional stuff, and but we just will listen because there are new ones who are not trainable. There are some who is very trainable, like you, and you're humble, you feel like this, that, but some others who come, they are here, but they're not trainable. So it's different people. You know, how ready you are, how much you want to learn.
Yeah, this is the point you were talking about, how the worst words in a man's dictionary is "I know."
I know, yeah.
Because if you think I know this, I know everything, then you can't learn anything. You can't learn from anything. And this is a part, I think, like when you first join Krishna consciousness, at least in my experience, I've heard this experience other people have, that you think you're a pure devotee. You think you're the most exalted person. So, anyways.
So there's two sides, two contributing factors that I see in this situation. One is that kids grow up in a different world from how we grew up nowadays, because there's the internet, you can all kinds of knowledge at your fingertips, and parental style over the whole, the whole country's kind of changing. So that is one part of the difference, and the other part of the difference is we have, as senior devotees, have seen our own faults, where our confidence is a little shaken, and we're not so confident. We're not so like together in unity, confident to impress upon people the right way. We've lost a little self-confidence, and we lost a little cohesiveness, and by stumbling over our faults and this sort of thing. So the two factors are creating this kind of, because when I joined, people just told me what to do. It didn't matter. I was in my mid-30s, and I also thought I knew stuff. And people told me anyway, it made me feel all bottled up and everything, but they just told me, and they were in agreement, they were confident, and so then I learned fast, and I gradually worked through everything that I needed to work through inside about my feelings about this. But we can't seem to, it's different now. We're struggling to figure out how to do it now under different circumstances, internally and externally.
I also will say, in my experience here, I've become aware that there's, upon the thought of leaving the ashram, there comes fear and sadness of like going back into that world, because it's here that there's a humbleness to Krishna, the Supreme, and then there's a humbleness too to all of the beautiful devotees that make everything happen. So there wouldn't be that drum in the morning, or the, everyone singing and chanting, or how everything is. It takes that whole entire community of devotees to make everything happen, and to keep the momentum. And I think as a newcomer, to witness that, I'm aware of the struggle. If you leave that nest where everything is circulating around you and sort of helping you gain that momentum to the ascension of the Supreme Knowing, like to step back into that world, it becomes a little bit of a fearful thing. Like, wow, it is hard to sometimes keep your footing in the momentum when I think you're not in the devotional praise that we're being surrounded by in the ashram. So I think that I don't know if I guess it's also a realization that it takes a commitment of devotion to say, you can't really just bounce in a couple of weeks and, you think you're going to learn everything and then think you're going to be able to necessarily sustain it, I think it takes I see that, like, practice of continuing, for a while. I'm sure that some of you who've been in this for many, 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 many years, have created those rituals and momentums that maybe can sustain you further when you, leave the ashram or go out into the world again. So I just think I have.
Yeah, this is a big topic.
Yeah.
Which we can't really hear back here. This just notice something, the sound doesn't come here right.
I have a soft voice.
No, but if I was sitting there, I would have understood you. You know, if I was sitting on the gas sound, I would have understood. But back here, the sound is different. I never sit back here.
Yeah, well, basically she was explaining how, being in the association of devotees and how difficult it would be to, leave the association of devotees, go out into the world, and this is a big topic because, I was listening to Bhagavata and he was saying that our society, the Krishna consciousness movement, we shouldn't have to go out and work in the modern world. That we should have this varnashram system set up so everybody gets engaged properly according to their nature, and you don't have to go out to the modern civilization to make a living. So this is a big topic that we shouldn't even go out there. We should go out there to preach, yes, but not to live out there, not to work, things like that. So, any thoughts on this?
Yeah, we need to see. Well, we need housing. We have people capable of building it. That's a job.
Mm-hmm.
We should be able to. And then the payment is you get to live here and get a little help with a little bit of financial gain for personal. If you got kids or something, but we need to see that we can pull things together more than we're actually doing.
Mm-hmm.
So we got to work on this. We have potential,
Yeah.
Did Prabhupada mean that each individual would have to determine how much they want to associate with the karma world?
My understanding is that we should only associate with karmis to preach to them. We should only associate with the modern civilization to preach and spread Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, we shouldn't have intimate connections with materialistic people.
He was not against getting jobs, but the idea would be that that's unnecessary. But if you got to get a job, you got to get a job, but you have to take your right consciousness with you.
Yeah, that's very difficult. You got to have a very good foundation in Krishna consciousness if you want to go out in the world.
So it's one thing to give association, it's another thing to get association.
Yeah, but as far as possible, we should stay in the association of devotees and as little as possible, don't leave the association of devotees. It's just like a big dark hole out there. We don't want to go out there.
When Suresh Prabhu was here giving his seminar, he made this statement. He said that God made the country and man made the cities and the devil made the small towns, and he said it kind of in a joking way. But then I came up with a question. I said, well, how do we keep, we're supposed to have villages, isn't the village a small town? How do we keep villages from being small towns that the devil made? So he said, I was just joking. But actually it's a real question, because it's very easy for something small like a village to just become ingrown with negative patterns of, being village gossipy and that kind of thing. So what I had come up with in my own thoughts is we got to be more immersed in Prabhupada's teachings. He tells us how to do everything. He tells us how to live our family life, how to live a village life, how to have varnashram, what the duties and relationships are. If we are more and more immersed in that, and it's our daily minute-by-minute guide, then we can keep our village from becoming the small town the devil made. But we have to do like that.
Very good point, what she mentions about how to keep everything Krishna conscious. We have Srila Prabhupada already established everything. You don't have to invent anything, Morning program to the evening program to prasadam to everything is there, But some follow, some don't follow that much. Some already follow, they don't want to do it anymore. Different. But again, we speak about this in the evening. And by the way, we have a nice evening class here every day, 7 days. What time is it? 7:15? 7:15 to 8 o'clock. I think I put this.
Who's giving the class?
Different. It's just a Bhagavata class. Everybody speaks about it and just try to read. I heard Dr. Shimano said at one time, that this is good for people who've been here like a long time and they're getting rustic and all that. That if you ever want to be fresh and Krishna conscious, join the young people. Follow the young ones and the new ones. So it's very refreshing. It's a young new group, you know, in the night, and they're all so enthusiastic and want to read about it. Jesse is another one he knows so much about English language that he explains everything in detail.
Yeah, I think that of course there's many other factors, but I think one reason that could help the society is more individually reading of Prabhupada's books and congregationally reading of Prabhupada's books. You know, like Vaishesheka Prabhu, he has all these, you know, big seminars of, you know, reading Prabhupada's books. Like, he has this thing in Vrindavan where he goes for like 1 month out of the year. He goes to Vrindavan and all his disciples and a lot of devotees, they go and they read like, I don't know how long, but like, they read like many cantos in like very short amount of period. They read like 7 hours of Bhagavatam a day.
Wow.
But I think, you know, as a society as a whole, you know, we should all read Prabhupada's books more. And like, you know, you experience that if you read Prabhupada's books, you read it like an hour a day and you just become so calm, peaceful. So that's one factor I think could help a lot. Any other thoughts? Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, it's almost, it's 8:30, right?
Yeah.
So, any other thoughts or comments are all in here? Okay, thank you for coming.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai for Premanand.
Hari Hari.
There's milk for everybody here.